I'm Jade McNeil, and welcome to the B Space podcast, your bi-weekly dose of business and property realness. No hype, no fluff, and definitely no BS. Just honest conversations about what it really takes to build something from nothing. Hello, and welcome to the B Space podcast. I'm really excited about today's topic that I'm going to be covering with my guest. Now, it's worth me saying that when I decided I wanted to do this podcast a couple of years ago, this was a topic that was always on my list of, things I'd really like to cover. But it's can be quite a sensitive topic. So it's, for me, it was finding the right person that would be happy to share their kind of the story around, this particular subject. So today I'm really excited to welcome the wonderful Alexandra Powell. Hi, Alexandra.
Hello, Jade. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So today we're going to be talking about, drum roll, ADHD.
Yes. Yeah, a topic very close to my heart.
It is a very topic close to your heart indeed. So my team were doing some preparation for this episode for me, and they've given me a really, really interesting fact, which I'm sure you probably know this already. But as entrepreneurs are 3 to 6 times more likely to have ADHD than the average person in the population. Did you know that?
Absolutely. It's so much more common than we think. And I used to think it must be a fad because I know so many people. It's like I'm attracted to other people with ADHD, but it's because of the business world. There's so many of us, and especially women who get diagnosed in their 30s, like myself, who are just discovering this. They didn't know it from when they were at school. So it's a whole new world that we're exploring together and supporting each other in. And to be honest, it's quite exciting because you feel like you have a tribe.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look, we're going to get into that. Before we do, though, just for the listeners' sake, set the tone for me. Tell me a little bit about kind of your business, and what you guys do.
Absolutely. So I'm Greeklish. So I grew up in Athens, in Greece, and I moved to the UK 20 years ago to start my architectural career and studies. So I am an architect. I run a construction business. I'm a part-time university lecturer, and I'm a mum to a 7-year-old. I'm a landlord. What else? I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I have a lot of interests.
Yeah, so we're in lots of hats, definitely doing the juggle for sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there about ADHD. So tell me, what is ADHD and what was your journey to discovering that it was part of who you are?
So my perception of ADHD was the typical sort of restless boy who can't pay attention in class, very fidgety. And I was nothing like that. I was very good at school. I could kind of sit down quietly and get through my homework. But I always knew there was something in my brain that wasn't quite right. Like I always felt that I had to work extra hard to concentrate, to pay attention. I always had a million things racing in my mind. And I found it quite hard to channel my attention. And there were so many different things that I was interested in as a kid, but I kind of went under the radar. So my brother was diagnosed with dyslexia, which is very connected to ADHD, but nobody picked up that I was struggling at any point. And the way it manifested for me was in severe anxiety. So I always had sort of panic attacks and all this stress, which from the outside didn't make sense. I was a very high achieving student. I was, I had great social connections. So it just didn't make sense. And I spent my whole adult life really until I turned 30, just not understanding what it was. And yeah, 3 years ago, I was on a coaching call with a previous coach, and I was about to go and see Stephen Bartlett at Ideas Fest. And we're having this coaching call. I'd completely broken down crying because I just couldn't manage. I was so overwhelmed by my day-to-day kind of life and business. And she said, have you considered getting an ADHD diagnosis? And it had genuinely never crossed my mind.
Wow.
But as soon as she said it, it was like these Tetris blocks falling into place. And I knew deep down that she was right. So anyway, I started looking into it. I did a huge deep dive and I decided to get tested by a psychiatrist. So I spoke to a specialist. She was really helpful. People in my family, my husband got questionnaires that they had to fill in about me. And yeah, it was a really smooth process to get in a diagnosis of combined ADHD, which means inattentive and hyperactive, like the full full whack.
Okay. What did it feel like when you got that diagnosis confirmed?
Honestly, it felt like grief. It took me a couple of weeks to really come to terms with it. And it wasn't the label that I was upset about or anxious about in any way. It was more that sense of lost time.
Mm.
Um, sorry, I get emotional just thinking about it, but just the potential, how much easier my life could have been if I had known what I know now. So rather than fighting against my brain, if I'd really worked with it, how much I could have just helped myself.
You know, it's really interesting because a very close client that I've worked with for probably 4 to 5 years, female, um, what, 3, 4 weeks ago, she's 40 now. She's just got a diagnosis. And I asked her the same question because I suspected from working with her that it was there. And she'd mentioned to me, and she said, I've got it officially. I got it yesterday. And I said, and how do you feel? She said, I just cried for like 12
Mm.
hours straight. Like, I feel exactly what you've described, like that lost time. And now I understand myself more and now I can work with it. So do you think, I was pondering this before our conversation. You and I are similar-ish ages. I'm a few years older. Do you think there's like a whole generation of, say, maybe 30 plus, and into the 40s and 50s and so on, of like just so many people that have just gone under the radar, like but we're also learning right at the same time about what it is. Do you think the younger generation and how do they feel about it versus us slightly older? What do you think?
So I speak a lot with my students who are in their early 20s, and they're a lot more self-aware. They have a
Okay.
lot more self-compassion and a sort of acceptance of
Mm,
what makes them different. And I think we grew up in a generation where everybody was supposed to fit a mold. Like, this is what a girl should be.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
how you should be, and this is what's expected of you. Which I think has led to a lot of people-pleasing behaviors and kind of suppressing parts of ourselves that maybe, like I call it, they call it the sparkle. So we've
Mm,
kind of suppressed things that makes us different.
yeah,
But
yeah.
in reality, that's what makes us stand out in business. That's what makes us successful. So yeah, I feel like we're going through a phase of liberation where there's a lot more knowledge and awareness. There are so many podcasts about ADHD, so many books you can read, even online communities you can join. And the first Facebook group I joined about ADHD, my first cousin was the admin, and she had
Oh,
never told
yes.
me.
I remember you telling me this. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Wow.
since then, my brother's been diagnosed. I'm convinced my mum has it as well. Like, it
Mm,
runs in families, so it's kind of it's a lot more prevalent than we think.
okay. Is this the first time you've publicly spoken about it?
It is, yeah, only because I don't have a problem being open and transparent about this, and I
Mm,
don't see it as a problem or a stigma in any way.
mm,
It just has never really come up. I've never had a reason to bring it up. I do discuss it one to one with people,
mm.
but yeah, I just think now is the right time, and the right platform for me to discuss this more openly.
And thank you for doing that because it means a lot. And because obviously how we know each other is you've been part of my Instagram community and then was part of my mastermind program, and you openly spoke on mastermind about it, and that's how I know about this. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
why I asked you to come and have this conversation. Um, do you think your ADHD contributed to, like the business that you've got? I mean, just what's the size of your current operation?
So we're a group of 16 core team members across
Mm.
architecture and construction, but then we have dozens of other team members that we work with on our extended team as well.
Do you think your ADHD is, has positively contributed to you growing something of that velocity?
I'm convinced that it's the catalyst. I don't think I'd be where I am without
Mm,
it. Like, it takes the kind of vision and risk taking and creativity to drive what I've created. And yeah, to just make me think differently about my life and my future. Because to be honest, before I had my son 7 years ago, I'd never even thought about having a business. I had a career plan. I had, a 5-year vision of growing and kind of climbing the corporate ladder. And then during my maternity leave, I just had this light bulb moment where I couldn't think of anything worse. So I quit my job, sold my house, moved to my investment area, and started the business. So yeah, it was a great impulsive decision.
I think as well, and this happens a lot with women, doesn't it? Definitely from my own story. Like we have a baby and we just think, do you know what? No, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to do things my way. We just got this mad, like
Yeah.
tuned in superpower. So I think, yeah, definitely the two things working together there for you are a huge
Yeah.
positive.
How your priorities shift when you have a baby, for
Mm,
me, was just life changing in a
yeah,
really positive way. I think having a baby gives you a sense that you can do anything, like you've just
yeah.
created a human.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You're surviving it. You've created, you now have superpowers. Congratulations. So day to day in the business then, describe to me so I understand, how does your ADHD positively show up in the business? What positive traits does it give you to drive the business forward?
mhm. So I thrive on novelty, which I used to think is a bad thing, that kind of chasing of a dopamine hit. I'm a big
Mm,
adrenaline junkie. So anything that's sort of new and exciting, which can be very distracting when you're trying to
yeah.
run a business, when you're trying to put systems in place and create routines. However, I have found areas of the business where that can be a huge advantage. So trying to leverage some of that kind of creativity and energy that I have into the right places.
Mm,
So as an example, one of my main roles in the business is networking, strategy, long-term vision, business development, recruitment, which involves a huge amount of novelty. Meeting new people, meeting new clients, starting new projects. So once I reframed myself as a starter in the business, as a catalyst of new things, and surrounded myself with finishers, I closed a loop which previously wasn't closing. And that was
mm.
creating huge problems for me because I'd start something and then I wasn't able to see it through to the end.
Mm. And that was exactly what I was going to ask you next. Like that's the positive side of it, but what is the negative? Like what's the negative traits that can show up?
So the inattentive part, I'm definitely very distractible. So I've
Hmm.
had to create structures to help kind of funnel my focus and manage my energy, which is the biggest kind of struggle. I do tend to overcommit. So I'll say yes to a million things and then absolutely dread them when they come up. So being able to manage my time and my calendar has been a challenge in the past where I've said yes to so many things and then really kind of burnt out and not be able to really enjoy it. Because when I
Yeah.
say yes to something, I say it from a place of joy and excitement, but I haven't really thought it through sometimes. So I end up overcommitting.
Okay. So with that, what kind of systems within the business have you put into place to support yourself? You mentioned about diaries and stuff there. Has there been anything else that you've built to kind of help?
Yeah. So my first hire was a sort of PA who has been with me since the beginning of the business. And all she does is manage my diary
Hmm.
and do all my new client inquiries. So she'll make sure things are put into the CRM properly and things are recorded and the address is in the diary. So she's a very much more detailed person than me. So she will kind of manage all the logistics for me. And then I've slowly grown a team around me to do all of the things that I kind of struggle with, the admin, the bookkeeping. I kind of offloaded those things as early as I could in my business. We also have strong sort of systems and software that we use. So we use Asana for our team and project management. We have checklists and processes. So I recently hired someone over the summer, an architecture student on a placement, who put together a company handbook, a sort of Bible for how to run our
Mm.
business, everything from lettings to architecture to construction, how to onboard new clients, how to onboard new staff members. And it sounds super boring, but once you have
No,
all
that
those,
that is the business. That's the sellable
yeah,
thing that you've
yeah.
created. Yeah.
Once you have all those processes and flow
Hmm.
charts and templates and checklists in place, a huge weight is lifted because it means you can onboard people into the business far quicker
Hmm.
and you can be more professional and you don't have to worry. You don't have to make as many decisions because you've already spent that time up front creating a framework that just works.
Do you, with your systems, you mentioned everything there. Do you actually use them day to day, or is it a case of that you're orchestrating the team that does?
It's more, so I take the term director of the business quite literally. So just like a film director wouldn't be writing the script and acting and
Yep.
singing and building the set, I kind of try and remove myself and literally direct the team, because I find that when I get sucked into the day to day, first of all, I don't finish it through. So I'll start something and then it doesn't always get completed. But also, I don't have the capacity to buffer any unexpected things that come up. So I want to be available for a problem, for, something unexpected that comes up. So yeah, I try and stay out of it as much as possible. So I use the software to check what's happening. So I'll get notifications when people have completed tasks, and I'll see the flow, and I'll notice if something's missing. But really, that's my role, that oversight and overview, which
I
I'm
guess
really good at. Whereas before I was trying to be in it and be doing the job, and I was just failing at it.
yeah. So I guess like micromanaging for you is like
A
no
no
good.
go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This episode of the B Space podcast is kindly sponsored by the wonderful people at Landlord Furniture Co. Specialising in a huge range of high quality bespoke furniture, Landlord Furniture Co. provides durable pieces designed to last in your rental properties. If you're searching for the perfect furniture to attract professional HMO tenants, or need more resilient pieces for your student accommodations, considering cost-effective furniture packs for a larger property, or looking for something more personalised to elevate your serviced accommodation brand, whatever your need, Landlord Furniture Co. will craft a solution for you. You can say goodbye to rubbish old flat packs and start investing in a luxurious experience for your tenants. Backed by a 3-year warranty and exceptional customer service, they really are the smart choice for any landlord or property developer out there who takes their properties, their tenants and their business seriously. So ready to transform your spaces with Landlord Furniture Co. and ensure that your investments stand out in the market? Visit Landlord Furniture Co. today at www.landlordfurnitureco.co.uk, or you can head to their showroom, which is in Oldham, or find them over on Instagram at Landlord Furniture Co. Now, let's get back to the episode. You mentioned before about, and I've got another client that when I was discussing this episode who also has ADHD said to me, oh, my thing is I'm chasing the dopamine, which is what you just said, which often leads to getting distracted. So I'd be really interested to understand, like, what sort of things distract you?
Notifications, social media, the phone ringing, someone walking in to ask me a question. So I've really had to protect myself from all of that. So I've kind of created a bit of a bubble around myself. So I haven't had social media apps on my phone for going on 4 or 5 months now.
Wow.
So I make a point of logging into Instagram and LinkedIn and everything else on my computer, which is an awful experience. It's not user friendly. It doesn't give you a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
So I literally just go on there to do the work that I have to do. I'm not scrolling. I'm not wasting hours. I also have had notifications off, and my phone has been on silent for years now. So I have to deliberately go in to check my emails or to check my WhatsApps. So yeah, just kind of protecting myself. And then my team knows I have a structure in my week where I'm in the office, available Monday and Friday. I'm teaching at university on Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Friday is my networking and client meeting days. And having that structure gives me some flexibility, but also a bit of a framework so I don't completely lose track of what I'm supposed to be doing. So my nightmare week would be sitting behind a desk, firefighting, getting overwhelmed, 100 tasks on my to-do list, started 10, not finished any of them. Like that's just my worst nightmare. It really drains me.
So if you were to get into that place, kind of, how would you kind of handle that if you did feel overwhelmed and drained? Like,
I'd go to bed early.
okay.
I have been known to go to bed at 8:30 because I know that otherwise my mind will be racing and I won't be able to handle it. So meditation and journaling is a big part of my kind of daily routine. And it's part of my scaffolding that kind of keeps me up. I used to wear kind of lack of sleep as a badge of honor, sort of overworking and undersleeping. And I've just given that up completely now. I'm proud to be getting 8 hours of sleep every night, as often as I can. And nothing happens after 10 p.m. Like nothing good is going to happen for my
So,
business.
so really, in summary, for that, what you're saying is you've kind of like there's like a self protection and an awareness around you, and you have to kind of protect yourself and put the boundaries in place with the systems and the people and the communication to say, not now, leave me,
Yeah,
everything's fine.
absolutely. Yeah. And I have visual tools as well. So I have a matrix printed next to my desk that tells me what I should be protecting, what I should be prioritizing, what I should be delegating, and what I shouldn't be doing in the first place. And then I can kind of quickly check it and remind myself, my micromanaging is on my delete quadrant, so I shouldn't be
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah. So, with all that in consideration, how can you spot, if an opportunity, how can you differentiate from a distraction versus an
Mm.
opportunity? What's the process there?
So I'll always check that against my top goals for the year. So if it
Okay.
doesn't align with my number one goal,
Hmm.
it's going to have to be a no. Because otherwise, if I say yes to the wrong client, the wrong project, the wrong team member, the wrong, I don't know, a training course, which can be quite appealing, then I'm saying no to something that could potentially be much more valuable.
Hmm.
So I check it against our values, I check it against our goals, and it's quite an easy process now to discern whether it should be a yes or a no.
Okay, good. Um, so in those moments then, let's say you may have a bad day, a negative day, like, who do you turn to for support?
Mm, so I am part of a coaching group of other construction business owners. There's about 45 of us in the group. So I know I can reach out to them and they'll completely relate to whatever problem or drama I'm having at the time. And someone will be able to give me kind of a tip. And then I have a group of trusted friends, a lot of them fellow property hive members and
Mm.
other kind of property investors that I've known for years. And again, I know that whether it's a personal or a business issue, I can reach out to my kind of trusted circle for support.
So you feel being vocal and being able to talk about it really helps.
Oh yeah, I think the worst thing I can do is kind of bottle it in and try and suppress it because it'll try and come out in some way. Like your body gives you clues, and the more tuned in we are with ourselves and understand our signals, the better we can work with ourselves, I think. But yeah, being very honest and vulnerable. So I'll go to the office and say I'm having a really rough day or I'm feeling
Mm.
very overwhelmed. And I expect other members in my team to be able to have that transparency as well. Nobody's at 100% capacity or productivity all the time. We're all
Mm.
humans. And I try to run a very, very flexible business just to make sure that I get the best out of my team.
Mm. Do you think, like, if I was to throw hormones into the mix as well as a woman, because obviously that's a huge thing that every single woman goes through,
Mm,
and it has its effects. And you and I have spoken about this before in the past, haven't we? About
mhm.
how it affects us individually. So you throw hormones into the mix with managing your ADHD. What's that like for you?
Again, it's about awareness and working with your cycle rather than
Mm.
against your cycle. So I know that there's, week 4 of my cycle, I shouldn't be booking public engagements. I probably shouldn't be meeting new clients. I shouldn't be pushing myself to go to the gym and network. And, all my self-care practices need to amplify during that time. I need to
Okay.
be eating right. I need to be sleeping right. And I need to maybe give myself a bit of a buffer because
Mm.
if I don't and I try and push through when my estrogen and my progesterone are low, it's going to have a knock-on effect on the following week, which actually is when I'm at my peak.
Mm.
So yeah, my month kind of goes up in week 1 and 2, and then it goes down in week 3 and 4. And as long as you're aware of your own cycle, you can work with it so that you're not kind of burning out.
So those ADHD traits definitely do like influx.
Amplify.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With your hormones, that must be like, very challenging. You mentioned this right at the start of the pod, but like, do you feel like females in general tend to mask symptoms?
We do. We
Yeah.
we really do, and we're really good at it, and that's the problem.
Mm.
And it's the story of my life, masking. And now I was so successful at it that nobody realized that I was struggling. And I went through a period when I was at university in my second year and my fourth year at uni. I had an absolute breakdown to the point where I thought I was going to quit. And it was one of my tutors who kind of talked me round and, kind of gave me the support that I needed to say, you can do this. You just need to seek a bit of help. So I had some CBT therapy while I was at uni, which gave me the tools I needed to kind of coach myself through the stress, and just manage my energy a bit better.
Okay. If somebody's listening to this and they've got someone in their lives which they suspect may be showing, what are the kind of like typical traits of ADHD that someone might be noticing?
So it'll be either physical or mental hyperactivity, struggling to pay attention. Quite often we'll interrupt without meaning to be rude. We'll interrupt in a conversation, quite impulsive, maybe kind of starts one thing and then starts another thing and is always kind of struggling to find the flow or the right direction. That general kind of restlessness, I think, is a telltale sign. Everybody's completely different, but as a rule, those are some of the things that you can kind of identify. And my advice in those situations would be to just get curious, to start kind of reading into it. You'll know straight away if you identify. I think ADHD research was like a mirror to me, where I started reading it and I could see myself reflected back. So there was no doubt in my mind, even before I got my diagnosis, that this was it. This was how my brain was wired.
I know, speaking to other adults that have, been diagnosed, particularly two guys that I'm thinking of, what they've explained to me, because my sort of like, association with ADHD is someone's going to be like really loud, really like out there, will cut in, like you just said. But actually, these two guys that I know are quite quiet. And actually, their thing is that they get stuck in a task. And everything's going off around them and
It's hyper focus.
they just can't move forward.
Yeah.
And that's their issue. They'll get stuck in the operation, and actually there's more going on that they need to focus on. So I don't know, if to me that almost feels like night and day in terms of what may be showing up.
Yeah. Something interesting is I think the label of ADHD is completely wrong.
Okay.
It stands for attention deficiency, but we don't have a deficiency of attention. If anything, we have a surplus of attention.
Yeah.
So the way that can manifest itself is either as a hyper focus in one channel where you can't see anything else and you're completely blind to your surroundings, like you just described. Or having so much focus in so many different areas that you can't actually see anything through. So it's exactly the same thing. It's just channeled in different ways. So, but one thing we don't have is a lack of attention. We just have a lack of kind of pointing it in the right direction.
Okay. So what advice if somebody's, a business owner and they feel, oh, this could be me? I'm struggling. This resonates with me. Where would you point them to go? Like, is there any kind of particular websites or books or bits of research that you would recommend for them to kind of, go and absorb?
I don't have any specific recommendations, but there's so much information online that you can kind of start on a surface level, start to research just to see if it resonates, and get curious, because even if you don't have ADHD, you might be able to get educated and support someone else in your life who does. And then I think that there shouldn't be a stigma around trying to get a diagnosis if you feel that that's going to be helpful for you. For some people, it wouldn't make any difference. So you just kind of try to understand yourself a bit better and not necessarily go down the route of medication or diagnosis. That's a very, very personal decision, and it affects everyone in different ways. For me, it was just reassuring. It was something that I could kind of put away and know that I understand myself a lot better, and I can find the tools to kind of work with my brain and not against it.
So sum it up for me then. So sum up, being a business owner, having ADHD, like what does that feel like from day to day?
It feels like a firework display is going off in my brain. most of the time. And then at the other end of the scale, it can feel completely depleting. So for me, the challenge is just trying to manage those kind of energy levels, the ideas, the creativity, and channeling in a very productive way that is going to make you feel good and be excited about the business that you're running. Because in my opinion, ADHD is a huge asset if it's leveraged in the right way. It can also be a huge disadvantage if you're not aware of it and if you're not managing it.
Yeah. Do you know, from my point of view and the people that I've kind of worked with, like I mentioned over the years, genuinely, and I say this from such a genuine place, people I'm thinking of are some of the most brilliant, intelligent, charismatic, interesting people. They really, really are. And I do think it's an absolute superpower to have. And I think, like you've worked on it over the past 3 years. If you can build in that clear focus, I call it the North Star. So, like those goals at the top, and then you can surround yourself with the right systems, the right support, and have an openness within your business to say, this is what is going on. I think it can be something that is just so, I've seen it. It's just can be just so powerful, and having that awareness. But it's about honesty, isn't it? At the end of the day, being honest with yourself, honest with your team, and understanding your own capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. Embracing your strengths, but also recognizing your weaknesses. And rather than trying to work on your weaknesses, which is exhausting, surround yourself with the right support system, whether it's a coach, whether it's a team member, an expert that knows something that you don't need to know, to be fair. I don't need to be an expert bookkeeper in my business. I just need to know that I've got the right person taking care of that element. And that goes for everything, everything around us. So creating systems, creating flow and ease, it's a no-brainer for me.
Amazing. Alexandra, thank you so much for coming on the pod today and having this conversation with me. And, I just want to use this platform to have those conversations and to open it up to other people so they feel confident and comfortable to be honest and open about what they've got going on. I know you've not got your apps on your phone, so you're not always, which I love. And actually, it's really interesting. I've recently done the same for myself with Facebook as well. So yeah, and it works. I never go on it because I get dragged into like horsey world. So I'm like, don't do it, Jay, don't go on. And I'm a big fan of no notifications and a silent phone. You've got to have that baked in. But if somebody wants to find you and reach out and say hi, how can they do that? Where are you?
So on Instagram, I'm at Powell Dream Homes, and my website where you can send me a message is powelldc.uk.
Amazing. Alexandra, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. I know you're going lecturing at uni today, so have fun.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much, Jade. Have a good day.
Thank you. That's a wrap for another episode of the Be Space podcast. I've been your host, Jade McNeil, property developer, mentor, and business coach. Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite platforms. And until next time, remember, don't believe the hype and always keep it real.